Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a fantastic day so far. I hope wherever you are in the world, today's been treating you so well. In today's video, I'm going to be testing Morphe for the first time ever. I have never tried anything, seen anything in real life, but I was in Manchester recently and I went into the Superdrug there and there was a big display of all of the beautiful new products from Morphe and I was like, I'm interested. I'm very interested. So I asked over on my Instagram and the general consensus was that people are interested in Morphe now. So I decided to pick up a few bits while they were on 3 for 2. I will say that I don't think that I would personally, before I have tested these, I don't know if I would personally buy these at full price, but they were on 3 for 2. I got 6 products, so technically I got 2 of them for free and we're going to be testing them out today. So I didn't get any brow products, so I've already got my brows on. Let me put my hair back and out of the way and let's dive straight on in. So I got a concealer. I didn't get a foundation. I thought perhaps I could use this all over, but now looking at the colour, I think I am going to have to go in with a separate foundation, but we'll see. So this is the Wake Up Artist Under Eye Correcting Concealer. I got this in Ivory 3N, and I found it quite hard to decide which colour I wanted, and I think that's going to be too light for me. Too light to like spread and use all over the face, but let's put this. Ooh, the applicator is unique, not bad. I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean I don't think I've ever seen a wand that's quite as fat and slanted and sort of chubby as that. I quite like it though. It's picking up quite a lot of product. So it's warm here and I can't sleep when it's warm, so the under eye corrector is definitely needed today. Let's tap this on. Yes, I'm going to have to use a different foundation. That's absolutely fine. That was completely my own fault. And let's use one of these brushes, which is the Real Techniques Makeup Saver Base Brush. Tap this in. I can't even remember what the claims were on this, honestly. Fake a full night's sleep with this lightweight serum-infused concealer that brightens, corrects, and smooths the appearance of under eyes with a naturally radiant finish. Oh, I love that. Arnica sweet potato extract. I mean, I love a sweet potato. Fried with some smoked paprika on it, but do my under eyes need that? I don't know. Wake Up Artist hydrates skin immediately for comfortable all-day wear. Okay. I mean, I can't do a full day wear test today, but let's see. Okay, so it definitely is brightening because it's too light for me. But I feel like that's quite a matte finish. I mean, I've literally just done my skincare, so my skin is looking nice and hydrated currently. But I do feel like that is looking quite matte under the eyes. Not necessarily a bad thing, but for it to say that it's a luminous finish, I wouldn't necessarily agree too much with that. I do have dry skin, despite the fact that it's looking nice and glowy currently. My skincare is still sort of sinking in. I've literally just done it. Yeah, my under eyes are, and like my eyelids are dry, so I do look for more of a glowy, hydrating concealer. I like it, it's just I wouldn't necessarily agree with that saying that it's like a luminous finish or whatever it was that it said. A naturally radiant finish. I like it. Is it groundbreaking? It actually feels quite similar to the new collection one, the Ultra Cover, and I really like that one. I would say that the collection one is probably a little bit more hydrating and a little bit more coverage, so, and like half the price. So, right, let me go ahead and do some foundation. I will use the MCO Beauty Miracle Hyaluronic Acid Tinted Serum. I will just put a little bit of this on and then we can move on to a bronzer stick and a blush trio. I did get the blush trio. So that is the skin tint all blended in. I really, really like that MCO skin tint. If you're on the Superdrug website looking at the Morphe things, I highly recommend that one. So let's go in with bronzer. I got one of the bronzer sticks. So this is the Sudden Heat Creamy Bronzer Stick. I got this in the shade Flicker, which I think was the second shade. I think the very lightest one was very cool toned, if I remember rightly. And then this is the second one, which was a little bit warmer. So I'm going to be brave and just draw this straight on. That looks like a good colour. Feels very creamy. I mean, you would expect that from a cream bronzer stick, wouldn't you? But it's not always the case. Doesn't have any sort of fragrance, which is preferable. So drawn that on all the usual places, and let's take a Real Techniques Expert face brush and buff this in. Wow, that's very creamy. That has just blended in so easily. I really, really like that colour as well. That's not too orange. Like, it's still warm, but it's not orange. Okay. That does, like, the texture of that does feel elevated from other bronzer sticks that I've tried. Like, that does feel more creamy, smoother on the skin. That has blended out so easily, but not like blended completely away. Like, my skin is looking bronzed now, which I know it's a bronzer stick. It's not always a given that bronzer sticks are going to make you look bronzed. Sometimes, I mean, I've had ones that are like green, straight up orange, too grey, too warm. That is the Goldilocks of bronzer sticks. I really like that. And the packaging for this as well feels, I know people hate that, but it feels sturdy. It feels elevated. It just feels like you're paying for the more, like, obviously you're paying more money, you're going to get better packaging. You're not going to get like Essence packaging, you would hope. But I really, really like that bronzer stick. I am looking so shiny. I cannot even tell you how warm it is. It's like muggy and raining and humid, and I'm melting. Can it be autumn now, please? I'm struggling. So let's move on to blush, because this will make me feel better. So this is I got everything out of the packaging before I started, because like, how annoying is that? The Cheek Thrills Multi-Finish Face Trio. So I think this has a cream, a glowy like blush lighter, and then a matte powder blush. So I got this in the shade Beach Bonfire. They didn't have all of the shades available, but this was the one. Ooh! The shimmery one is a cream, I think. So this is what the packaging looks like. Again, very elevated, and then the back is all like mirrored. Look, there you are. You can see yourself. Yeah, the packaging is very, very elevated. And then inside there's a little flap. And I thought it was just this top shade that was the cream, but I think this one might be as well. Right, let me just swatch these on the back of my hand so that I can see what the formulas are. Ooh, yes, that middle shade. Oh my goodness. If you see any orange marks on the back of my hand, I filmed yesterday that like orange blush roundup video, the Life of a Showgirl one. And when I say that these have stained, they have stained. So we've got the powder blush, the glowy one in the middle. Look at that. I'm going to need that all over my face immediately. That has got the most beautiful warm glow. That is like NARS Orgasm but in a cream. That's so, so pretty. And then the matte cream. Oh, so pretty. So I think I want that middle one. Yeah, I need that middle shade immediately. Okay, so I have another Real Techniques Expert face brush. I actually think I'm going to dip into the matte cream blush first, just a little bit, and then I will add that glowy one over the top. Because I do like a lot of blush, so tapping this in. It's not too pigmented, which is a good thing. I do struggle with blushes that are too intense, like right off the bat. So I really, really love that colour. I really love that colour. That's not too orangey, but it's still got that beautiful warmth. I'm really impressed with that. And even though that's that matte one, I do still feel like it's adding a really nice glow. Okay, right, let's dip in the lightest amount into that glowy one. Oh, I don't want to get too much, but also I love a glow. So I'll just pop that on the top as like a little blush lighter moment. Okay. Yeah, I really, really like that. I really, really like that trio. I wasn't sure how I would feel about that, honestly, but they are so smooth. And just the perfect amount of pigment. You know, sometimes you get them and they're like, oh, you've got to build it for hours. Or it's so pigmented right off the bat. Again, I feel like this really is the Goldilocks. I really like that too. Okay, so I'm just going to bounce over the middle of my cheeks there where I feel I've gone a little overboard. And I have got a powder, which I haven't got out of the box yet. This is the mini, I got a teeny tiny little one, the mini Bacon Set Setting Powder. I got this in translucent. It says 16-hour staying powder. Nice. Set powder for up to 16 hours of wear, minimise shine for up to 24 hours, smooth pores and fine lines with this lightweight, talc-free, finely milled, silky loose powder that sweeps on with an impeccable, soft, natural finish. That is what I want, and it's so tiny. They did have a little set that had, I think there was a glowy one and a matte one, but I decided to just go for one because I don't need more powders. I've only got one face and let's give this one a go. So I'm just going to tap a little bit. That is very, very finely milled. Can you see that in front of the camera? Okay, tap a little bit of that into the lid and small fluffy brush. Let's work that into the brush and here. Doesn't have any sort of fragrance. That is so fine. I can see clouds of that in front of myself. That is looking so smooth. Okay, I really like that powder. Let me look really, really close up though. Yeah. I really like that powder. That is so smooth and mattifying, but not flat. Like even where I have layered quite a bit of that on, sort of here, it's not looking flat. It's just blurred. And I really didn't even use that much. Okay. Okay, Morphe, I really like that powder as well. That does feel, like I say, it feels elevated. It feels like you can tell that you're paying a little bit more for it, you know? So let me just apply a little bit more where I'm going to get hot and sweaty because it is 4 million degrees in my room, but I really like that powder. And I love that it's tiny. I love that it's tiny. So I'm just going to take that blush brush and make sure that none of that powder got over the glowy cheek. And I got one of the eyeshadow palettes. I was tempted. I was so tempted by the one with the teal, the pop of teal. Yeah, very, very tempted by that. But when I looked into it more, it was a dark shimmery teal that I just didn't feel like I would necessarily get a great deal of use out of in my collection. So I decided to go for more of a neutral one. So this is the Morphe eyeshadow palette in Rich Glitch. And this is, let me open it. Well, actually, look at the packaging first. How cute. So, so pretty. And if I open this up, it's got a little sheet inside which like tells you about the shades. But look at that shade. It's like iridescent. It's all of the different colours all at once, but also on like a creamy, slightly pinky nude base. So I'm very, very interested by that one. And these two like middle shades, you can wet them to make them more intense, which I'm scared of, but also going to do. So I will go ahead and put some eyeshadow primer across my eyelids, zoom you in, and we can create a look. Okay, so I've just tapped the e.l.f. Lock It Down eyeshadow primer over the lids, and I'm going to start with a fluffy brush, and I will dip into, so this shade, and this shade are matte, then this shade is a shimmer, and these two are the molten metal ones. So I'm going to dip into this mid-toned matte, which there's quite a bit of kick up there. I don't necessarily mind that. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but let's see how these blend. I am spoiled for choice when it comes to eyeshadows. I am a big fan of an indie eyeshadow, and the quality of those eyeshadows is incredible. So I do feel like if this is just okay, then that's fine. But there's always indie eyeshadows that I'm like comparing them to. So let's see how we go with these. I am so excited to try that molten shade. I mean, I'm scared, but I'm also excited. Okay, so my camera just cut out then, and I don't know what I was saying or what I was up to, but that one shade is laying down very nicely. It's nicely pigmented, it's blending, but it is just one shade. I am going to go into the darker matte. I will just use the same brush and tap that off, pack that on the outer corner. That's nice and pigmented. Okay, again, really nice and smooth, laying down really nicely, packing on nice and intense on the outer corner, but also blending out. I like that as well. So I want to take this shade, and it says on this little sheet actually that I will inevitably lose, but it says apply dry for diffused luminous effects, apply wet for detailed molten-like shine. So that's about those two shades in the middle. So let's go ahead and swatch this. That feels So smooth. Okay. Oh, do I even want to wet that? Oh my goodness, that is incredible. Do I even want to wet that? I feel like I should because you can. Is that a reason to? Yes, let me go and get some water. Stop procrastinating, let's go and get some water. Okay, so I've got a little pot of water because the more water I get, the more water I am likely to spill. So I'm just gonna dip my brush into there. I don't want to completely flood the eyeshadow. Let's just get a little bit of water on the brush, and will this turn into like a paste? It does! Okay, that looks so pretty. Okay, right, let me just swatch that. So that's the difference between wet and dry. Wet and dry. Obviously I've made it wet now, so I can't go back. Let's just get that really nicely coated on the brush. Really smooth. And let's paint this on. Okay, so I just painted that on with the brush completely like saturated with that eyeshadow. Then I wiped the brush off just so that I could use the same one to like tap out the edges. That is incredible. That is so smooth and so reflective. I am interested to see how that's going to dry, because that could potentially sort of dry and like crack. We will see. We shall see. But now I've got to try and make this equal on the other side. Question mark. I know that these water activated eyeshadows and things like that are nothing new, but I'm very impressed with that formula. I am very impressed with how that looks. It's almost got quite a bit of like a pink reflect to it. I think that that's really pretty. So I'm just gonna wait for that to dry. I will try and keep my eyes sort of looking down so that it doesn't collect in any creases or anything. I am a 31-year-old with 31-year-old eyelids, and they are not the smooth canvas that they were in years gone by. So I'm just going to wait for this to dry down. And now that that's dry, I'm just tapping over the edges with a little bit more of that darkish shade, just to really intensify the dark smokiness. But I'm impressed, honestly, for a neutral eyeshadow palette coming from a colourful makeup girly. I love colour. There wasn't a lot of colourful options apart from that teal that, like I say, I just wasn't I knew I wouldn't use. Yeah, I'm impressed. This does feel somewhat bridal adjacent. This is the sort of thing that, like, I love glitter. I love a lot of glitter. This is definitely the amount of glitter that I would wear for a wedding look. I really, really like how that's looking. So the last product that I have to try, who is surprised? It's a liquid liner. This is the Make It Big Brush Tip Liquid Liner, just in black. It says get big 18-hour long wearing pigment in a super precise brush, and then I can't read the rest of it because it's got a sticker on it. So let's get into this packaging. If you know me, you know I love a brush tip liquid liner. Let's see. Yeah, sounds very liquidy. The brush looks good. It's not too big, but also it's not too small. So let's see how a wing is going to go over this molten metal eyeshadow. Let's see. This liquid liner feels very dry, like coming out of the tip. Like, I'm concerned that I'm not going to have enough to do a wing on the other side, because that has just taken me a few goes to get that one. Not my favourite. Not my favourite so far. It's very black, and it is a very matte black finish. It's very dark, because not all blacks are. Sometimes they're very grey, sometimes they're quite brown, sometimes they're warm for a black. It is a very, very nice black colour, but that was quite a lot of work to get the product to actually flood down into the brush tip, which isn't usually a problem that I have with a brush applicator on a pen, but like, I feel like it's pulling because it's quite dry, like it's pulling on my eyelid because it's not got the amount of liquid in it. Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I don't recommend that pen, that liquid liner. That is just very dry. Like, that has taken me some time to get two semi-equal wings. I feel like it looks fine. I like that it's more of a matte finish. That does sort of differentiate it between a few in my collection, but that was a lot of work. It was very dry. The product didn't flood down to the tip very well, so I had to keep stopping and shaking it. It just wasn't the easiest to use, and honestly there are others that you can get from Superdrug for half the price that are so much better than that. So I didn't get a mascara, so I'm going to go ahead, do some mascara. I also didn't get any lip products. If you have any recommendations, I'm all ears, but I'm going to go off and do that, and then I will come back for the roundup. Okay, so that is the eyes done. I do feel like I need more blush. So let me go ahead, and while you're still zoomed in, let's add a little bit more of, do I want the glowy one or do I want the pink one? Let's add a bit more of the pink one. I feel like I just need a little bit more pink colour, a little bit further back, just a touch. Blush blindness does not exist here, so just a little bit. I always feel like that after you get like the darkness of like a liquid liner and mascara and things like that. The lip, in case you were wondering, is just a lip liner, which is from Catrice. It is the plumping lip liner in the shade Rosy Feels Rosy, and that's all I've got all over the lip because I don't want to take away from that incredible molten eyeshadow. And I can't currently see any creasing. Not yet, but it's not been that long, so I will report back. So I would love to hear if there is anything that you have tried from Morphe that you think I need to try. Do let me know. I'm very impressed with a lot of the products that we've tried today. I like the bronzer. I really like that colour. I feel like it's sort of disappeared a little bit on my face. Whether that is just me melting my makeup off or if it is actually like sinking in and disappearing. I don't know, but let's just add a tiny bit more. I like the texture of that. It does feel nice and like really nice and creamy. One of the creamiest bronzer sticks that I've ever tried, that just swept over my skin so beautifully. The blush palette, obviously I haven't tried that powder one, but the swatch that I did, really like that. I love the glowy blush that's included in that as well. I really like that. The concealer, honestly, I feel neutral about. The concealer looks fine. I haven't noticed a great deal of creasing, but also I did blend that out and like set it. The powder looks incredible. I am so picky with setting powders with dry skin. I'm very picky with powders, and I think that that is a fantastic option. Whether it will actually keep my makeup set for 24 hours or whatever the claim was, minimise shine for up to 24 hours, honestly Morphe, in today's humidity, if you could keep the shine away for like 30 minutes, that would be great. I am so hot and so shiny feeling today. The eyeshadow, I love. I left that open for a reason, because I feel that you're going to have to leave this open so that that can dry fully without going mouldy. So I'm gonna leave it open, but I'm very impressed with the quality of those eyeshadows. And then the liquid liner, I've tried much better, much more affordable liquid liners. It's fine. It wasn't very easy to use. I feel neutral towards it, and it was one of the most expensive liquid liners that I've ever used, so it's not worth it. There are others that I recommend over that one. MUA being one of them. Like, I'm thinking off the top of my head, ones that you can get in Superdrug. The MUA Control Freak liquid liners are head and shoulders above that Morphe one. And it's like £3, £4, so treat yourself to that one instead. But like I say, I would love to hear what you think of the look. I would love to hear if there's anything from Morphe that you've tried that you love, if there's anything that you've tried that you hate. I also want to know what I need to stay away from, because this is my first time trying the brand, and I am interested the next time it goes on 3 for 2. But that is everything. I hope you've had a fantastic day, but until next time, thank you ever so much for watching. Bye bye.